Hi, I'm doing this episode a little bit more chill, mainly because I need it. I need to disconnect on like person to person level. And so if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that I'm more reclined in my chair than usual. And if you're listening on the podcast, hopefully it feels more chill than usual. I wanted to talk to you as if I was talking to a friend, because I want to give you some honest advice and answer a question that I get a little bit quite regularly, and especially from a friend who would be starting a business. So this is for you, particularly if you're feeling like you're newer in business, you are feeling like your funds are a bit tight, you're trying to work out what on earth to invest in your business, and you're not sure, I guess, how you want to grow and what you want to invest in, like all those things. Pretty much what I just said. So I wanted to give you some advice as if you were a friend of mine coming to me and saying, Jacqui, I know you're a graphic designer. What do you think? Like, what should I invest in first in my business? Like, you've got a successful business. You've been doing this for 11 years. Like, what should I put my money towards? What should I put my time towards? Like, there are so many expenses when you're starting a business. And I would say, yes, friend, you are so correct. There are so many expenses when you're starting a business. There is, even just an online business, there is like your suppliers, your laptop, subscriptions. Subscriptions are a big one. Like any legal kind of fees, any contracts, website creation. There's lots of different things that cost you money. And especially when I think, like, if you were a brick and mortar business, you'd be like, oh, there are heaps and heaps of expenses. Like online businesses have nothing. You'd be correct. But I think as online businesses, we think it should be free. And while it can be really cheap, it's not free. I wanted to sit down with you and discuss whether or not you should invest in branding and graphic design at the start of your business or wait until a little bit later. And I guess you've kind of got three options. You've got the options of hiring a graphic designer to do your branding and your graphics. You've got the options of totally DIYing and just kind of fudging your way through Canva, trying to work it out. Or you've got a third option of being supported by someone like myself who teaches people how to DIY the graphics really well. And I'm going to tell you the pros and cons, I guess, of those, but I'm going to give you an answer first that might surprise you. The short answer of the question of do I need to invest in brand and design at the start of my business to be successful? That answer is no. That's the short answer. The long answer, however, is a little bit more nuanced, and that's what I want to chat to you about today, because you need to make some really informed decisions if you're choosing to not invest in brand and design at the start. Because the problem with not investing in brand and design at the start of your business is twofold. Firstly, you often have far less clarity on your business. I say this as someone who was in that stage when I first started. I didn't really know what I wanted my brand to be. I didn't really know who I wanted to talk to. I didn't really know what I wanted. I think creating a brand, the exercise of doing that, and I hear this all of the time from my students when they go through my early modules, because this is when I teach them, think through who your target audience is, who your niche is, how you're going to serve them, how you're going to make them feel. And if we skip that step of creating a brand because we think, oh, I'll just work on that later, what happens is that when we create social media posts, when we try to show, when we try to advertise, and we try to market, which marketing is one of the only ways to get clients into your business unless you're relying on referrals, then people are going to feel really unsure about you and what you offer, and you're going to feel unsure about you and what you offer. And it means you can't stand up and say, oh, I do this for X person doing this kind of thing, and I'm going to help you with this, this, and this, and this. Because when you speak really clearly to those things, your audience feels really clear about those things. And an example I give to kind of illustrate this is sometimes we think, oh, I'll just like put out there like I am a photographer and I'll help take your photos. I mean, that's great, and you will get clients from that. However, if you say, I'm a family photographer who specializes in newborn shoots for the first 1 to 3 weeks of their life, and I will capture these memories that are you'll treasure for a lifetime, I can guarantee you're going to get people running to you because you have said specifically what you're really great at and how exactly you can help them. So instead of just getting people saying, oh, can you take some photos of me? Yeah, it'll be fine, it'll be great, and paying you the rate that they would assume for that, like a couple $100, if that. Whereas if you position yourself as someone who is incredible at doing this one particular thing, you're going to get people falling over themselves trying to book in with you. And you might not feel that will happen at the start of your business, and it may not happen straight away, but when you get that clarity and you put that messaging out there consistently, it will happen, and it will happen quicker. And so design will help with that. Design will help you to get that clarity, because you will have to think through these things to be able to create a brand that your audience is drawn to. Like, I don't let you, when you're in my courses, I've got a particular course called DIY Design My Biz, which I'll tell you about later. But in essence, I step you through the steps that you need to know so that you can actually create a brand that's going to communicate to your audience. It's going to make them be obsessed about working with you rather than just another option that they don't really care about. And so it's really important that whether you're DIYing by yourself or whether you're working with a designer or you're working one of my courses, that first you set the brand foundation. And the clarity that that gives you means that you can make all the right decisions so that the branding you put out there, the graphics you put out there, the logo you put out there, the colors you show up with, actually connecting with your audience and communicating how incredible you are. And so the first part of it, if you don't really sit down and do your branding properly, is you usually miss that clarity step. And it means that you are showing up with something and showing up as a business in general. Despite your graphics, you're showing up as a business in general that feels a bit muddy and confusing for your audience. And it means that they're less likely to work with you because of that. Secondly, you're going to find that your business grows slower without investing in good design. Now, by investing in good design, I don't necessarily mean spending thousands on a good designer, because that's what, like, even if you work with my design studio, it's about $2,000 to actually get a great brand from us. You don't have to invest that much for a good brand. But either way, when you invest in a brand, whether it's a cheap or expensive version, what you're doing is investing in the first impressions and the continued trust that someone forms in your business. I want you to step back for a second and pop yourself in your audience's shoes. So kind of like sit down and think, what is the first touch point I want someone to have before they work with me? If you are a new business, that may be your social media. It may be a newspaper ad, I guess, or a flyer or something like that, more traditional forms of media, or it could be a referral. Either of these ways, usually it means someone is going to look at your brand first. Even if it's a referral, if I get someone refer me, say, oh, you should work with this like food coach because they're going to teach you how to make some really great meals, I'm not just going to call you up and say, hey, can I work with you? Firstly, I hate phone calls so much. But secondly, I'm probably going to do some due diligence first. I'm going to double check that my friend is actually spot on or they've just been hoodwinked by you. So what I'm going to do is head to your Instagram or head to your website if you've got one. I'm going to head somewhere and I'm going to see something. And so your audience is 95% of the time, I would even say 99% of the time, going to see your business before they purchase from you. And I want you to put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, is what they're seeing of my business representative of what they're getting when they work with me? Is it actually representing how great it is to work with me? Because if you're starting a business, you better hope that you're actually really great at what you do. Yes, you're going to get better the longer you're in business, but when you start, hopefully you're doing a good job of what you're offering. If you are a hairdresser, hopefully you're offering a great haircut. It might not be the best haircut in the world, but it better be a good haircut. And so do your graphics actually share that? When someone comes to your Instagram or goes to your website or sees your flyer, is what they're seeing of you representative of how great you are? Or does it look like you're some amateur that's got no clue what they're doing? I'm going to put on the screen now, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on the podcast, feel free to have the blog post version of this in the show notes and you'll see these graphics. I'm going to put 2 graphics up on the screen. One is of a person who might have given you a flyer in your letterbox and they've started a cake business and there's a flyer for their cake business. The other is the exact same. There's someone who has put a flyer in your letterbox for their cake business. But if you're seeing these graphics, you're going to see that the graphics look wildly different. Which cake business are you more likely to work with? You're going to more likely work with a cake business that looks legit, that looks like a credible business, that looks like they know what they're doing, and it's actually a well-designed flyer. Why? Because somehow human beings judge books by covers. And I just want you to know that if you're deciding that you don't want to invest in branding at the start of your business, that's fine. But it will slow down your growth. Because when someone sees your business, when someone sees your flyer or your social media or anything, if what they see doesn't say, I'm professional and you can trust me to deliver what I'm promising, you're going to get half the clients, if that, working with you. Unless you have wildly good testimonials that are doing the work for you. People are going to think, this probably just looks like a little side hustle they're starting. Maybe they don't really know what they're doing yet. I'll check back in a couple of years. And then they actually won't check back in a couple of years. Whereas if you're branding and design, even if you are just starting as a side hustle, your branding can still make you look like the professional that you are. Because you are going to offer a great product or service. That's not the issue here. The issue is whether your brand looks like that's happening. And so what design can do, I'm getting passionate now. What design can do is speed up the process of someone trusting you. It can speed up the process of someone realizing that you're incredible. It can speed up the process of someone thinking that you're a professional that can offer the product or service that you're saying that you will. And so if you've already started your business and you've got maybe a couple of social media posts or a little bit of a website or something, a graphic that you've made like a flyer, I want you to take a look at that right now. Maybe grab it out, pick up your phone, look at your Instagram feed or whatever that platform is. Put yourself in your audience's shoes. If they were to come to your page for the first time, either from a referral or maybe they've just been recommended you from Instagram or they've seen one of your posts, what are they thinking when they first come to your page? Do they have an understanding from just looking at your graphics and reading your bio potentially of the kind of service you offer, the kind of person you work with, what it's like to work with you, and the price point of your service, and the professionalism that you offer? Can they trust you to give that product or service and do it well? If what they see doesn't align with what's true about you, if your graphics, if you charge $100 for a haircut, but it looks like you only charge $5 for a haircut, with the quality of your graphics and the premium level of your graphics, they're not going to want to work with you. When they see your prices, it's going to be jarring. Or if it looks like you've got like I was working with actually one of my clients recently, and she does tutoring for like primary age school children, elementary school children, but her branding looked like it was targeted at adults. And that was because she was thinking, oh, I need to target the adults because they're the ones who are going to choose to work with me. But what she failed to realize is that as an adult, when I looked at her graphic, I thought that she was tutoring adults because her branding wasn't speaking to who she really targeted, which was kids. So in that call together, I actually took her from her old brand that looked a bit like an adult tutoring business to one that would still attract adults, but have them to know that this was a service for their kids. We crafted a whole new color palette, a whole new font suite, a whole new element set, a whole new logo, just in a call together, which you can get that with me if you want to. And so that now when someone is to look at her branding, they're going to think, oh, cool, this is a tutoring business for kids. My kid needs some tutoring. I'll jump on that. But if someone comes to your brand and what they see doesn't line up with the kind of service you offer, who you're targeting, how you want them to feel, your price point, they're going to decide that you're not for them, and they're going to decide that they're not for you. And so what does your branding say? What do your graphics say? Ask yourself these questions. Put yourself in your audience's shoes. Put yourself in a stranger's shoes, hopefully a future client's shoes. And when they see your brand and your business, do they understand what you're about? Do they understand that you are for them? And so to circle back around, you can have a successful business without a great brand and graphics, but it's going to be a lot slower. It's going to be so much slower. So my question to you really is can you afford not to invest in brand and graphics at the start? And so imagine you haven't invested in brand and graphics. You're just kind of working through free tutorials like this one. You're just doing random Canva graphics. Nothing quite looks great and you know it. You're trying your best, but you know it's not quite working yet. And someone comes to your page and you're showing up. So firstly, kudos to you for showing up, because that is honestly the first step. And that is where actually a lot of my clients come to me first, because they actually have trouble showing up at all because they don't have a brand that they know what to create with. They don't have graphics. They don't have knowledge of how to create graphics. So they just think it's just too hard and they don't even show up. That's a side point to why it's important to invest in brand and graphics at the start, because if you're struggling to show up at all, you're not going to be able to market your business. You're not going to get seen and heard and worked with. But if you have overcome that, and even though you don't have a great brand and graphics, you're still showing up, firstly, kudos to you. Secondly, if 20 people come to your page and they see your kind of haphazard Canva graphics, maybe one of them might decide to work with you. So say your product is, or say your service is $100, you get $100. Amazing. Great job. That is a win. However, imagine with me for a moment that first you sat down and you went, say you purchased my DIY course for everyday business owners to learn this stuff, and you sat down, you worked out your brand foundations, you sat down and you worked out your brand, you worked out your colors, your fonts, your elements, your logo, you created that yourself, something that you were really proud of, and then you started applying that. You learned from me the design principles to create really successful graphics, and then you started posting to your social media professional looking graphics that you made yourself, that didn't take you forever to do, that helped you to show up really confidently, and that when one of those 20 people was to come to your page, they think, oh, cool, this actually looks like a product or service that I need. And say, for example, you got 5 people through the door out of those 20 people instead of 1. What would that do for your business? So that happened every month. What would that do for your business? $500 compared to $100 on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. Instead of waiting to get enough money from that one client per month to be able to invest in having some great branding and design, 5 clients per month, that not only pays for the investment that felt a little bit stretchy at the start to invest in a course like mine, for example, but it would pay itself back almost instantly. You got 4 extra new clients, you got 8 bringing in $400 more every single month. Imagine the power of that for your business. Imagine the power of that ongoing. It probably wouldn't be 4 per month. It probably be 4 the first month, 6 the next month, 8 the next month, because you're actually growing. There's exponential growth possible for you rather than stagnant growth that feels really slow, that feels really hard, that feels really unclear. That's why I really do believe that investing in design is a great thing for a new business, even though it feels stretchy. I have business owners that work really hard to be able to afford my course. It is so much cheaper than hiring a professional designer, but it's still an expense, and I get that. That's why it's actually quite affordable. To let you behind the curtain, my course, when it's on sale, which it currently is at the time of recording this, is $97 Australian per month for 8 months. To work with my team, as I mentioned, it's $2,000. That course totally paid off is about $700 Australian. To give you some perspective, at the time of recording this, $700 Australian is actually only $450 US, which is actually, I think, $65 US per month if you're in the US or using that kind of currency. $65 US per month investment into your business and your brand. And it's not just an investment into looking pretty. Design isn't about that. Art's about looking pretty for the sake of it, I believe. Art also has a lot of meaning behind it. I get that too. But design isn't just about art and looking pretty. Design is about strategy. Design is about making sure that your brand is attracting your audience. Design is about making sure that your graphics are actually communicating. A big principle I teach, for example, is this concept of hierarchy. And it means your graphics are actually getting read rather than just you posting a random picture and people being like, and scrolling past. I teach you the design principles to get your designs read. When your design gets read, your clients read it. Your future clients read it, they build trust, and they start to work with you. But this doesn't happen if your designs aren't strategic, if your designs aren't attracting your audience, if your designs look unprofessional. People will just scroll past. They'll move on. They'll look at your page if they get that far, and they'll think, that's not for me. This isn't a quality product or service. This person is beyond my price point or too cheap for me or whatever it is. They're thinking those things and they're not jumping in. And so I want to challenge you. Can you afford not to invest in great brand and design for your business? Because you absolutely can get by without it, but the growth will be so much slower. It'll feel so much more frustrating, and you'll feel so much less clarity around everything that you're doing. Every time you jump into Canva, like people are like, oh, I don't have time to go through a course, Jacqui. I'm like, oh, yes, you do, hun. And I understand that feeling. Like I have trouble going through courses too. It might take you an hour to create a social media post before doing my course. After doing my course, hopefully it'll take you 20 minutes, 10 minutes, and then probably 5 minutes by the time you've got your groove going. That time gets saved so quickly. And I really believe in, you'll see here in this video, I talk fast. I get the message across quickly. And that's what I do in my course as well. There is no fluff. There is just, here's the thing. Here's how you do it. Do it now. I move things through really quickly so that you can get it done at your pace. You can have lifetime access, so you can do a part now. And if life gets hard, then you can pause it and you can come back to it. All of these things are there to support you to grow your business quicker in a way that feels more fun and strategic, and it will help you in the long run. Will help you at the start and will help you in the long run, because I often also have clients, this is a bit of a tangent, but I think it's so relevant for you if you're starting a business, is a lot of my clients say, oh, Jacqui, I just don't have clarity on my ideal audience yet. I don't have clarity on exactly what I want to do yet. Do what you can, go through my process and do what you can first. And then the best bit is that after you've been doing this for a year, you've had enough clients come in because you've got great marketing and you've got great branding, and you get some more clarity. You realize, oh, you know what? I don't love working with newborns in my photo shoots. Nothing against newborns, but I think I really love working with their siblings. I want to change my niche and start targeting like kids and family photo shoots. The benefit of you knowing how to make your own brand and graphics, of you knowing how to tweak your logo, of you knowing how to create a brand, you knowing how to make social media posts, is that instead of going back to your graphic designer, which this has happened with me when I did design for people, and when my studio team does designs for clients, we have people that come to us starting their business and they say, oh, my audience is this, I've done this, and do this, and we make them a great logo. Then they have to come back to us 6 months, a year later, when they've got extra clarity, pay us all over again to make a new brand for them because their brand now doesn't align because they've got that extra clarity. Whereas if you actually know how to DIY your brand, what that means is when you have extra clarity on your business, when your brand continues to evolve, which it will, my brand has evolved hugely over the last 11 years in business, but because I have the skills, I can evolve with it. I can change my graphics. I can add in a new color to better suit family photo shoots. I can tweak the font to better suit family photo shoots. I know how to tweak my logo. I know how to do all these things. And I can still continue making graphics for my business to support me. And so investing in design at the start of your business and investing in learning how to do it well yourself, especially at the start, means that you can evolve and grow your brand with you. You don't have to go back to a designer and pay another $1,000 or another $2,000 to get that brand changed or to get that flyer tweaked or to get that social media template fixed. You can do those things yourself. So it is wildly time efficient. So it is wildly cost effective and also so empowering for you. And so I want to just encourage you that this is such a great investment for your business. And also you can do this. I've worked with over 400 people that have gone through my course, and I have seen people that have never used Canva before create logos that actually look great. I'm going to pop on the screen now, if you're watching on YouTube, a plethora of logos that my clients have created. They've gone through my course. They might have posted in our Facebook group to get some support from me. They might have jumped onto one of our group calls every single month and had me to help design their logo with them, like I did with that tutor this month. And they've created these logos themselves with the support of a professional. They're not just going through Canva, trying to pick a random template that is generic and looks like everyone else did it and can never be trademarked because it's not unique to them. They haven't just searched YouTube for hours and hours and hours trying to work out how to do this themselves. They've worked with me and they've got the process, so it hasn't taken them huge amount of time. When they get stuck, they've asked for help in their Facebook group or on the group call, and they've created graphics that can work with their business, that make them look professional, that make them grow their business faster and feel more empowered in the process. And so all that to say, friend, don't feel like you need to invest in brand and design at the start of your business. If that feels too stretchy, don't do it. But if you are actually really wanting to give this business a really good crack and you're really excited about this business, so you want it to grow and you want it to grow quickly and you want to feel empowered and confident and excited while you do it, I cannot recommend highly enough equipping yourself with learning design for yourself. And if you want to know how to do that well, I have a course called DIY Design My Biz, and it is designed just for you, just for everyday business owners learning and wanting to create an incredible brand for their business that grows with them, that attracts their audience, that helps to scale their business, and that helps to save them time and money in the long run. And if it sounds like something that's going to be helpful for you, please head to the link in the description if you're listening on the podcast, or scan the QR code on the screen now. head to whitedeer.com.au or head to DIY-designmybiz.com/join, and you'll be able to see all the information there. I would love to support you. I would love to work with you. I'd love to get to know your business and help you to grow quicker. Thank you for joining me for this slightly more chilled episode / passionate episode. I hope you found that inspiring. And yeah, I hope to see you next week for another episode. Bye.